there needs to be no reason or something. It can just happen to everyone, and everyone can start having those thoughts or ideas. I think that's important what we talk about.
Hey there, my name is Sean, and this is Suicide Noted. On this podcast, I talk with suicide attempt survivors so that we can hear their stories. Every year around the world, millions of people try to take their own lives, and we almost never talk about it. And when we do talk about it, many of us, including me, aren't very good at it. So, one of my goals with this podcast is to have more conversations, and hopefully better conversations with attempt survivors. Now, we are talking about suicide, so this may not be a good fit for everyone. Please take that into account before you listen. I do hope you listen because there is so much to learn. If you are a suicide attempt survivor and you'd like to share your story, I'd love to talk. Please reach out. hello@suicidenoted.com or on Facebook or Twitter @suicidenoted. We would also really appreciate it if you followed us on social media, if you liked things and shared things and commented on things. It really helps spread the word. And hey, there are people out there that probably need to hear this podcast, so I want to do as best I can to get it in front of their ears. Thanks so much for that. I really appreciate it. As always, in the show notes, there's a couple of options to help us out. If you want to make a financial contribution, we could use the help. And if nothing else, just keep listening and doing the very best you can and keep trying. Today, I am talking with Paul. Paul lives in Germany, though for our conversation, he is in Croatia, and he is a suicide attempt survivor. Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Good. And you?
How is Germany this fine day?
Yeah, I'm in Croatia. I'm on vacation, but it's really cold.
Paul, you are in Croatia. Okay. Appreciate you taking the time to talk.
No problem.
How did you hear about this podcast?
I was just searching for something, and then I saw the logo, and then I was like, this looks interesting. Just clicked on it, right? And then listened to an episode, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Right on. Yeah, cool. I appreciate that. So I would imagine most people wouldn't find that interesting, but you do. Most people are like suicide. Nah, I have no interest in that, right?
Actually, just looking for people like, how do other people feel like about this topic? I was like, okay, this is actually what I was kind of looking for, because people talk about it and how they feel in this area and this topic. And I was like, I can connect to some of these ideas or what you talked about. So I was like, okay, yeah.
So if you're comfortable, can you share what's your connection or background to either suicide or the attempts or the ideating?
I honestly, if you ask what like started or where does it come from, like I couldn't tell you. I honestly couldn't. It started at some point, and then it spiraled down in it, and then at some point it was just like, I don't want to exist anymore. So, it's just like at some point it just came up, and at the beginning I was a bit confused and not too sure, and then at some point I was like, okay, that's how it is now, and now I got to deal with it somehow by making a decision, or like by making several decisions. Yes, so it just came up at some point. I want to say in the last 7 months.
So 1 year ago, you're not really thinking about this stuff.
1 year ago, no. 1 year ago was really good. No, not really. No.
Any idea what might have changed externally or internally? Just any idea?
Yeah, I assume it was school. My grades dropped a lot. Maybe a bit family-related stuff, friends. 3 years ago, I had my phase, and then 2 years ago, I went to Canada. And that kind of pulled me out of that because, I don't know, Canada changed a lot. And then in Canada, everything was fine. And I came back to Germany, and that was 1 year ago. So 1 year ago, I got back to Germany. Canada phase was really good for the mental health and for my well-being. And then everything was fine. And then, I don't know, it changed again. And then I slipped back into old habits. And then it got more intense than before. That's well, yeah, I assume that's where it comes from.
When you started to feel these feelings or think about this, what did you do? Like, how did you cope with it? Because I would imagine it's not easy.
At the beginning, nothing really. It's just like a daydreaming thing. Like you sit in class and you think about it and you're not paying attention. You think about other stuff, and you're daydreaming about it. I want to say that that's the main part of it. And then at some point, it was like distracting myself with the other stuff. So it's a mix of I'm either somewhere daydreaming about it or distracting myself, be it school, be it friends, being going out in the evening and just like trying to distract yourself from it. That's basically how it goes for that time. So it was extremely planned out. I want to say down to the minute. If I would have done it, it would have happened to the minute how I wanted it, and everything would have happened exactly as I planned it. It took a lot of time and a lot of thinking into planning everything and preparing it, and really down to the minute. Anyone involved, anything needed, what will happen after it happened. I was planning if I do it, how I would do it, and anything that would happen after. It might be from who finds me, where, when, why, to all those things. Who would be involved, who would react, how, what needs to be done after they react. Everything would be planned out.
And how close did you get?
So everything was in my head. I never dared to write it down if somebody would find it, but everything was planned out and prepared. And then basically, I got home, and then I knew I had 3 hours or something, hours to get everything physically ready, like prepare things. I don't, so wrote the last letters, get all the equipment for it, all that stuff. I knew it would take me about 3 hours to do all that kind of stuff. And I knew my mom would be working for the next 7 hours. I knew I had a lot of time and get everything prepared. And then she called me and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm home in 20 minutes. The machine she works with broke and she can't work today." And I'm like, "So you're coming home now?" And she's like, "Yes. Do you want me to bring anything for lunch? Or did you cook anything?" So it was extremely close. And then I was like, "Okay, yeah, come home." And of course, that scraped the plan for today.
2 months ago.
Yeah, it was 2 months ago. Yeah, 2 months ago, and a couple of days after she stopped me by accident without even knowing it. I rethink and I sat down again, and I was like, "Do I need a new plan?" I would be happy if I did it, but other people wouldn't be. So I need to rethink my decisions. It's split in two parts. On the one side, I don't really know. Yeah. And on the other side, I want to say it's if you live, you have like your happy moments, you have your sad moments, you have all those things. And for me, I was just thinking like, there's no point in me for trying anymore because there will be always those sad moments, even if you have happy moments. And I was like, you'll die anyway. Like nobody can stop that. It's no will to exist anymore. That's it. There's nothing more behind it.
So just to be clear, because again, I want to make sure that people who hear this hear it clearly. A year ago, and presumably, and before then, you were mostly okay. 6 or 7 months ago, you start having these thoughts. And then a couple of months ago, you started to really think about them more seriously, actually carrying it out. Are you still living at home with your mother?
Yes.
Okay. And right now you're on vacation?
Yes, we go for 1 week, just taking a little break from school.
Does your mother or anybody else know about any of this?
My family does not. 2 friends know now for like 2 weeks now, I want to say.
2 friends know about what happened. What did they say?
One friend, I called her actually at one point in the evening, and we were just chit-chatting. We were really close friends. It wasn't too serious. It was just like friends messing around, a normal phone call. And then at some point I broke down. I don't know what. And then just, it came out. And I lied to her for the last 4 months. She would be like, when we see each other, how are you? Like, are you all right? And normally I could tell her anything. And she told me anything. And then I started lying at some point because how do you tell your friends, "Oh, well, I want to die"? That's not something you say, right? When you meet each other. So I started lying to her. And then at some point I just couldn't anymore. It came out. And then she was like, "Okay, I could like argument with you, but I know that there's no point in talking with you about it now. I'm not a therapist." She went online. In my home city, there's actually a page where they have like emergency phone numbers. And she was like, "Okay, those are the phone numbers. I want you to promise me one thing. Don't do anything stupid. And tomorrow you call them and then we talk after that." And then she made sure I won't do anything stupid that evening, and we talked a bit more. And she said, like, talk to them. I can't help you. I mean, I'm your friend. I'll be there for you, but I cannot help you. And then she was like, "I just want you to promise to call me, like, for the sake of our friendship, call them, and we'll see what happens." Yeah, and I called them actually because I promised her. I wasn't going to call myself, but I promised her, if you promise somebody something, you have to do it. That's my thing. I talked a bit to them, and that helped a bit, and then it calmed her down. And now she's here and there making sure that I'm not doing or planning anything stupid. She has a different look sometimes when she sees me. She's more aware of when I leave class, as example. She's more aware, like, why I'm leaving class. It's often to calm myself down. And then she'd be like, she thought, I just don't want to be in class, like, and sit in French, I don't know, for 2 hours and listen to the teacher. And now she'll be like, okay, shit. And then she'll go out, she'll check on me. So that changed a lot. Yes.
What about the other friend?
And the other friend, we aren't in school anymore together, but I called her, and then she was like, we talked a lot about it. And then she was like, do you have help? And I was like, yeah, I promised the other friend already. She was like, good, they know also each other. And she was like, okay, good. I don't see you that often, maybe once or twice a month, because she's really busy with work. But she said, like, I know the other friend is there. I'll talk to her. I'll make sure there's nothing going on. And if there's anything, I'll be always there for you. And then she said she just wanted one promise, that if I do it, she wants me to call her beforehand. That's the one thing she made me promise. She was like, okay, I need to talk to you one last time then.
And so when you called the place, that number, what you said it was somewhat helpful. What was helpful about it?
Can you give me 10 seconds? My voice is really trembling right now.
Sure. Take your time.
So yeah, I called the place. I was actually on my bike on my way to school.
All right.
I had a really busy day that day. And I was just like, that's the only time I have before they close. I called them on my bike. I'm like, I don't know what to say. My friend kind of forced me to call you. I might have a problem. I don't know. And they're like, okay. And then first of all, they checked that I won't do anything or that day. I talked with 2 hotlines, and it's apparently they always first make sure that the person is safe before they do anything else. It's a great procedure. They make sure I'm safe and everything, and then they talk with me. They said, okay, we're like a first response hotline. We will not be able to help you over time, but here are the options we can give you. And they said, those are numbers, contacts, you can come in here and there, and those are the options. They sent me some stuff on my email, all that, which was really great, because they said, your first response, our job is to make sure you're safe and then get you continuous help, which was really good. And then I ended the phone call, had to go to school. And in the evening, I had a party with some friends. I went out that day to the birthday. And on my way to the birthday, I get a call from some anonymous number. And I'm like, hello, who's this? Like, who are you? And they're like, oh, you called us today? And I'm like, who are you? And they said, are you alone on the phone? I said, yes. They said, great. We are not allowed to say who we are till we are sure it's only you listening and talking. We had a hotline that you called today. We need to make sure that you're safe tonight. So she was like, and then they said, or the person behind the phone said, I thought a lot about our talk. I need to make sure you're safe today and the next days till you get your help. And they actually called me again, which made me really happy. And I don't know, they gave me another number, and they were like, okay, this is a hotline 24/7. Whatever happens, you just call them and they'll be help within 10 minutes. They're with you, physically help. Like, they send somebody. And I was like, okay, thank you. That's great. And that's it. Then they said, okay, have a great night. You're with friends now. We can see that you now need maybe some space, work it out, think what you want to do. But those are your options. Please use them.
What did you do?
So in the next week, I had by coincidence an appointment anywhere with a neurologist for some other brain-related stuff. And they said, this is great. You can talk to him or her, and she will get you help anyway. If you just tell her what is going on, and she will be right away. They have somebody in their house. We know the person, the doctor you're going to. They have somebody in the house. I'm going to say in the house that can help you right away. So you talk to them, and if they offer you help and you get the help, you're fine. If not, you call us again, or you take one of the other options we sent you. It was right in the week after the call that I just had the appointment. I actually talked to them then, and they said, okay, we will note it down. They made sure again that I'm safe. They always need to check in that I'm safe, that I'm not doing anything. And that was last week. Yes, that was last week.
Wow.
And then And I said, okay, yeah, I'm on vacation now and we'll talk when I come back.
Mm. So you're just right in the middle of all of this.
Yes, I'm right in the middle.
Yeah. Do you feel any better than you did a couple of, do you feel, has anything shifted or is it still difficult or that same
I think
level?
two things changed. The first thing is I'm honest about it. There's nothing in that topic changed. There's no point for me to exist anymore.
There's no point for you to exist anymore, you say?
Yes, I realized that if I die, it will bring more pain to this world than it actually takes away by me leaving it, because my friends and my family will suffer on it. So I decided not to do it at any point coming up.
I know it's impossible to predict the future, but
yes,
you think that you're going to be, I don't know. What do you feel about the future?
Well, my friend asked me 3 days ago, I think, how I am. And I was like, I would not like to experience Christmas this year, but I will because of you. So I think that's really good. Like, that's how you can put it. I do not want to, but I will do it for you.
Like, what happens, for example, if for whatever reason that friend just disappears, she goes somewhere, she just doesn't want to be friends with you anymore? Like,
I have a list of people I want to say till they disappear. That when this list disappears, I'll disappear. I'm going to say it in a nice way. If that list actually disappears, that would be 2 friends, 3 family members. In order for that to happen, we're talking big catastrophic events. We're not talking anymore one friendship breaking up. We're talking about massive impact on changes of several lives.
Yeah.
You know what it's not just one friend what I'm saying. It was just an example because I talked to that one friend at that moment.
In your experiences, where you are from, and maybe Germany, maybe the part of Germany, or even the town you're from, I mean, do they handle these kinds of conversations? Do people talk openly about their difficulties, their challenges, mental health or otherwise?
No, not really. No. Surprisingly, I have a friend or a social circle where I want to say where this topic is, where we talk pretty open about it. My social circle is really open about most topics: mental health, sex, drugs, everything, literally anything, family. So that is a surprise. But I want to say in the general Germany or in the town, no.
Right.
No, that is not a topic that is a normal conversation or something where you would check up on somebody. No.
Right. Okay. Like most places, my experience, like a lot of places, they just talk about other things all day long, right?
Yeah.
Sports, sports we could talk about for hours and hours.
I mean, the Germans love soccer. They can talk for hours about it. Sometimes I'm like, guys, you've been talking about the same player for 3 hours now. Could you please be quiet? I don't want to swear on the podcast. I don't know if I'm allowed.
What, by the way, are you studying in school? I'm curious.
It's like high school. It just goes a bit longer than high school. It's like there's different schools in Germany, and I'm like, there's different. If you want to go to college or university, you go to different schools, and I'm doing one where I will go to university after it. I'm in my last 6 months about now. I have around 6 months left in order to graduate, and then I'll make my way to some university. Or I'll be honest, I had a talk with my parents recently what I want to study, and we were talking about it. And in my head, I was all the time, guys, in the last 6 months, I wasn't planning on going to any university because I wouldn't be around for any university to accept me anymore. So I think in the last 6 months, that has been a huge impact on my plans for the future, because you don't need plans for the future. And that's like to say it's open and planned.
I don't need to put this next question into the podcast. I can delete it. I'm just curious. Why don't you want to use your name?
No, you can leave it in the podcast. Actually, first of all, I don't want my social circle to find out about it, except for my 2 friends. I know the risk is minimal to 0, but you never know.
Yeah.
And especially I don't want my family to find out about it. It's not a thing I'm ready yet to do. Also, in my social circle, I've been building, and that's a topic I really wanted to talk about today, this perfect lie for the last 6-7 months. And I don't want to risk anything to destroy that lie.
Sure.
That would be a catastrophe.
So it sounds like you're kind of like doing like you're a little bit in limbo, we say, right? You're in between space, kind of.
Yeah, you could say it that way.
It sounds like a tough space to be in.
It's a weird space to be in.
Yeah, I would imagine. So when you heard the podcast, you heard at least one, if not more episodes. A year ago, that probably is not a podcast this isn't a podcast that you probably cared about or would listen to. You'd have other things you
No.
prefer. So the idea that other people were thinking the way you were thinking was, I guess, something that you wanted to hear, you needed to hear.
Yes, I needed it too. I want to say 1 year ago. I don't know if you know the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule for anxiety attacks or panic attacks. 1 year ago, that was more the era I was in, but it wasn't for me. It was just like I know a couple of friends who have it or who experienced it. So that's 1 year ago. I want to say that's the space I was in. But the idea of somebody killing himself and actually thinking about it was for me just in my head for people who were mentally or not mentally, sorry, had some disease or something that would kill them anyway if you lose any important brain functions, all that stuff. So that was the only thing I could imagine having this assisted suicide, the suicidal idea of killing yourself, because be less pain than what we will experience probably in the next time. Coming from a healthy background, I couldn't imagine. What is maybe interesting for some listeners of this podcast is I remember the first podcast I listened to, the person started talking. One of the first sentences was, I want to say my family or my father molested me as a little child. That's, I think, one of the first sentences that were said in the podcast. And I was like, okay, that is a rough start in life. That is a start in life, a point in life where I'm like, okay, wow. And then he continued, I'm homeless at the moment, or I'm living in some motel. I lost my job. He listed all those things, and I was like, okay, wow, this person, like, I can understand how you feel at the moment. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I was like, this is weird because this did not happen to me. I have a great family. I have never in my life thought a second about money problems. This might sound weird, but I'm in a space where I'm perfect. I have a good grade. I have a giant circle of friends, sometimes too many friends to keep up with. I'm doing good in school. I have my life lined up pretty much. My parents, I get whatever I want, basically, which sounds spoiled, and I try to avoid it. But, there's nothing. I need something, I probably get it. So there's nothing in my life I would be saying like, this might be a reason for it. And I think that's important because there needs to be no reason or something. It can just happen to everyone, and everyone can start having those thoughts or ideas. I think that's important what we talk about. I wrote in the email, and I think that's important. I'll have to translate it because it was in German. But a friend wrote me 4 days ago now and translated, "Man, I wish I had your life. It is so perfect." That is a quote translated from him in a WhatsApp message he sent me a couple of days ago. We were talking about some family problems he had, and that's what he said to me. And I was like, okay, yeah, I don't know. It is apparently perfect for everyone outside because I made a beautiful life for everyone that people just see. I have good grades, I have good friends, I have a great family. It is not that way. It is a lie. But that's what we see. And I think that's important because a lot of people have those lives. We often don't see anything.
Yeah.
I was sitting in school and my friend, she leaves class 1.5 months ago. And I'm like, okay, she's probably in the toilet like any other normal person. But I'm like, this is weird. It's not typical for her. So I go outside too because I was annoyed anyway with class. I see her and she's basically crying. And I'm like, wow. She went outside, tried to hide somewhere, and is trying to compose herself. And I would have never thought before that could happen to her in school. I think that's what it's important to think and talk about when we look at other people and just saying, oh, they have such a perfect life. They definitely don't.
Yeah, but I mean, you just don't know, right? You have no idea.
Yes, you have no idea. I think that's one of the reasons why I actually wanted to talk with you. Because so many people you have on your podcast have such a rough start in life or a rough phase in life. So I feel so sorry for those people because I understand where you come from, but it doesn't have to be anything of that. It could just start at some point.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the majority of the people I've spoken to, I think they could say this happened to me, that happened, childhood, abuse, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But there are people like you who are, it's not really those things that we can really say exactly this, that but it's still something that you feel, hey, I, like in your words, I don't want to exist anymore.
It's really, I say it all the time, like time notes where I say like 6 months ago, a few months ago, it is not exact. If I mess up somewhere, I just probably mess up the timestamp in my head. I want to say 3 months ago, I was at a party, just like dancing away with friends, really fun. And then a friend, she looks at me and she's like, "Oh, can you come?" And I was like, "Sure." I thought she has to pee or something, go away, take a break for a minute. Maybe she drank too much, 40, 50 meters from the party. And she sits down. She's like, "Ivo, what's going on?" I'm like, "What do you mean, what's going on? I'm having a great time." And she's like, "Yeah, come on, drop the charade." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean by charade?" And she's like, "The other ones I'm really noticing right now, but I can see that something is bothering you and you're covering it up right now at the party. And you've been doing it for the last 3 weeks at every single party you've been." And I was like, "What?" And I was really like, that was insane. She just looked at me and she was like, "Yeah, every party you want to leave as late as possible. You want to stay out as long as possible." And some other stuff she said. And I was like, wow, okay, that I've never had that. That somebody was like, that's the first person that thought it actually. I didn't tell her really everything, just one or two things. I didn't want to bother her with it. And I was like, that is not the space and I don't feel comfortable with. I feel comfortable with her, but I didn't feel comfortable at the time at the party doing it in a way. So I didn't really share with her, which later I think was maybe a mistake because the situation 2 months ago could have been avoided where I was basically dead man walking. But it was surprising me, and I think we should all try to be a bit more like her because that was just incredible. And I think that helped me really. 1 or 2 weeks after that, my thoughts really went down, my planning went down, and I was just up in some mood. I don't know why, but it was after she talked to me.
You've got some friends, good friends, or some mature friends. Croatia nice? The part of Croatia you're in?
Croatia's great. I mean, we've been having some stormy days, like now and yesterday. But we've been surfing a lot and windsurfing a lot, actually.
Do you think you're somebody who is at high risk to damage themselves or hurt themselves in the future?
If I kill myself, it'll be quick. Not quick, but it'll be painless. It'll be efficient. It'll be clean. A real rational way. I'll try to make sure that my organs can be donated. That it's no mess. That the person who finds me is a professional, no family member or friend. They'll find me in a way that can save me, but in a way that it is not like 3 weeks later or something. I don't know. I will not hurt myself, like injuring myself. I don't know. A lot of people slit their wrist or something like sideways. Or I read some articles about people that wanted to kill themselves, couldn't, and instead hurt themselves. That is not something I want to do or I feel like I have to do because that is not my idea of dying. My idea of dying is I just don't want to exist anymore. And I don't want to be in pain the time I am, or I just want to minimize the pain.
So what a lot of it is, right? Pain or not wanting to be in pain, period.
Yes.
Yeah.
Period. There's nothing more to it. That's just how it is.
Yeah. What else would you like to share or talk about or let the world know? Or at least not the world, but at least people who might hear this, right?
You should, I think a lot of people go to a friend and talk to them because the friend, they can't help you. A friend will not be able to be a therapist for you or help you out. That is not what the job of that friend is because they're not what they learn probably in life. But go to them because they will help you find help. That's something I struggled a lot with. It took me 6-7 months to get help. Even now when I started reaching for it, still takes some time. Tell one friend. Just tell one single person, and you don't even have to tell them, just tell them I need to get help. Can you help me get help? Because I'm struggling right now with it. I think for people that have never thought about suicide, they don't understand how hard it is actually to call a hotline and be like, I want to die. That is incredibly hard. When I called for the first time, there was 10 seconds of dead silence on that phone. They was like, hello, can you hear me? And I was just like breathing in, breathing out. I was like, trying to get myself to say it to somebody else out loud and manifest it actually, and not just in my head all the time, anytime. Also, often, for some people maybe who have friends who are, I want to say, in danger of suicide or doing anything stupid. I always say doing something stupid. I don't know. It's translated from German. They will tell you probably their thoughts at some point and be like, I'm miserable. You'll talk to them. And a week later, you might ask them how they are. They will probably tell you that they are fine. But They are not. They are definitely, in 90% of the cases, I would say they're lying to you, because even just opening up once is really hard, and opening up again and again and again is really hard. And for people with constant thinking, planning, ideas of suicide or self-harm, it is not something like a normal thought. It's not something that pops up once a week because you watch something and it reminded you of it. No, it's something you sit in class and it goes on and it goes on and it goes on and it goes in circles in your head for hours. And it'll be something you're awake for 10 hours. You probably thought in the last 5 hours at least about it, if you have not been constantly distracted. It's like a soccer game. I remember it every Friday because every Friday there's a soccer game. So I remember and I think about soccer. That's not how it works. I remember it's Monday morning when I woke up. Then I got distracted because my brother came in. I was distracted because of school for 1-2 hours. I had a break. I thought about it again. And that's how it goes for the entire week. You don't have to get your friend to tell you every single day their thoughts and their problems. They won't. And it's maybe not even a good idea to do so. But just keep in the back of your head when they tell you that they're fine, that they probably are not telling the entire truth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that people don't get fine or have their good days, even with suicidal thoughts. I mean, I had great days and great weeks. I'm just saying that there's always that thing in the back of their head where they're like, I want to do it, or I wish I could do it. And even if they have a great week and you see them succeed in whatever they're doing, it's still there. And it just won't go away just because they had something great or they experienced something great. That's not how it goes away. I think that's important.
It is important, indeed. Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you joining me here, and I'm glad we were able to connect. And I appreciate you joining me because I know,
no problem.
It takes some courage to do that. So appreciate it.
Yeah, I really want to say thank you to you for doing this, because there's so many different views on your podcast. You might not connect to any or every single one, but everywhere in every single of your episodes I heard, I want to say it's like 10 or something I heard by now. Not every single one through the entire time, but listening to at least 10. There's always ideas and things that I was like, I can connect to that. And that actually helped me connect. It's just really helped for the podcast. A lot of podcasts I heard, or several ones I heard about the topic, they were always, you can do that, and that can help you. I thought, okay, guys, I know that I can do that. I know where I can call a hotline. Those hotlines are everywhere. You can just Google it for 30 seconds. You'll have
100%,
50 numbers. But to actually read about it and talk about it,
right, just
from a normal view, that is something. It's the first podcast from you I've heard that goes into that good direction. That direction I love.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I did it. I know, like, most people know that what they can do, and they can use Google. They're aware. Most people are aware of the information usually.
Yes.
But so I didn't want to do another podcast because who cares? I get it. We got it. We know. 1-800 or this hotline or that hotline. Or we know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just about, So I'm glad you're getting something out of it. I really am.
Thank you.
Yeah. If it helps, it helps. That's what I do it for.
It helps. Definitely helps.
Enjoy the rest of your trip with your family in Croatia, man. And
Thank you.
Hi, brother.
Have a great day. Goodbye.
Take care, Paul. Bye-bye. As always, thanks so much for listening and all of your support. And special thanks to Paul, who's in Croatia but is from Germany. Thanks very much for joining me, Paul. If you are a suicide attempt survivor and you'd like to share your story, I'd love to talk. Please reach out. hello@suicidenoted.com or on Facebook or Twitter @suicidenoted. And please follow us on social media. Let people know about this podcast. There are people, many people, who I think would benefit from hearing it. Thanks very much for that. That is all for episode number 81. Stay strong. Do the very best you can. I'll talk to you soon.